My character's name is FRamano. He's the son of Italian immigrants who struggled most of his childhood. When he grew up, he joined Al Capone's mob. I chose my character because growing up, I watched many mobster movies with my mom, like The Godfather or A Bronx Tale. I actually chose the name Frankie from Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, a band during the 50s that had association with the mob. I chose the prompts based off the historical evidence from the notes that I thought would go with my character. I enjoyed making the character and writing as if I were a mobster. However, I began struggling toward my last few journals when I was running out of historical facts to use. I knew that mobsters probably didn't pay much attention to politics, so I had to make my mobster more intellectual. My favorite journal that I wrote was about the Valentine's Massacre because it showed the violent side of the mob. I will now read that journal. So my prompt was, what ethical dilemmas have you faced? The gunshots and screams still ring in my ears. Blood and gunpowder stain my clothes and hands. The expression of life fleeting from my victim's face haunts my thoughts. On February 14, 1929, I aided in killing 7 men in cold blood. Although it was just another job and these men were our enemies, I can't help but feel guilty of what happened this morning. My boss, Al Capone, was very well known and his business flourished, but this didn't stop the competition. Other gangs knew to respect his territory, but in recent years there was one gang lord that didn't think the rules applied to him. The Irish gang soon became an enemy to Al Capone. Al Capone didn't appreciate the competition, so he picked me and a few other men to get rid of them. The original plan was to dress up as police officers and break into their storage units. We would scare them off and steal whatever liquor they had in storage. Unfortunately, this is not how it happened. We managed to pass as police officers, and we lined 7 members of the Irish gang up against the wall, where we pretended to arrest them. This is when one of the Irishmen took out a hidden knife and swung it at Tony Russo, a short, hot-tempered man who loved to run his mouth. Before I could open my mouth to protest, Tony took out his gun and shot the Irish man in the head. This all unleashed a chain of events that ended with guns being drawn and shots being fired. No matter how stupid Tony's actions were, we were a family, and the number one rule of the mob was to stand by each other, so we helped him finish the job. It's a miracle we never got caught. I just remember running until we got to the edge of town and then shedding my bloody clothes. Everyone also seemed perfectly fine, but I couldn't stop thinking about what I had done. How many of those men had families and children? I never felt guilty over my victims, and I wasn't sure why it was bothering me now. The morning's massacre seemed to ruin my whole day. It was supposed to be Julia and Wine's first Valentine's together as a married couple, but the whole night I kept seeing the faces of the men I had killed. As I write this journal, I keep trying to think of ways to justify my actions, but I can't think of any. The events of this morning are making me contemplate my job in the mob. Is a life of crime really what I want to do for the rest of my life?